Hello, and welcome back to Angelus Mortem Productions, ran by a guy with no taste and way too much time. Now, as you may have seen, I have mentioned on my social media that I want to start promoting more music in a more review style format. I know I've been doing like the whole interview things on my channel, some mini documentary type content as with the Grimehouse video, and that's all fun and good. I love supporting my local scene and I love getting into all that nitty gritty kind of stuff when I talk to people. But there's so much metal out there, man. And I can't cover it like that, and I can't interview every person in the world. So I'm just gonna stand here in front of the camera as I do. I'm grabbing my titties for some reason. And I'm gonna review some metal music for you all to enjoy. And I'd like to announce that this video is the start of a new series that I'm doing called Canadian Crypts. Yeah! Basically, the standard for this series is it has to be Canadian and it has to be good. And otherwise, I don't really give a shit. If it's underground or if it's mainstream, I just want to go through the whole thing. And what I'd like to do as well is pick a band and go through their whole discography. I don't care if they have 10 albums out or 1 EP. If it's something that I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about it. So that's pretty much the gist of what we're doing here. And to start off, I would like to introduce to you all a band that has been releasing stuff for over a decade, but they've kind of been on hiatus for a while, but they just recently came back out of the woodworks and started releasing some more music, and they're just as fucking good as they used to be. Yes, I'm talking about the melodic, epic, groove metal maniacs themselves, Aquila. I just want to get into a quick backstory of Aquila before we actually review their full-length album and the 2 EPs that I have lined up for you today. These guys were founded back in 2006 by Mr. Matt McGuire and Anthony Rimmick while they were studying at the University of Windsor, which it seems like they're gaining a lot more fulfillment of that institution than I fucking am. I mean, seriously, like, why are my online courses right now being charged the same as my normal classes? Why are their professors completely psychotic and give me Fs for like misplacing commas? And why, I'm rambling, whatever. So the first demos were recorded in 2007, 2008 by none other than Glenn fuck bassist Fricker from Spectre Sound.
Bassists. Nothing raises my hackles in utter contempt like a bass player. The murderers of music, the exterminators of entertainment, the demolishers of dreams, the executioners of enjoyment. If there's one thing I dread more than anything in the studio, it's recording the meathead known as the bass player.
And this is kind of a common trend that you'll see with a lot of bands from Windsor, Essex, and like, you know, the local area here in Ontario. Glenn has worked with tons of bands from the area, and I know that he's known for like his gear type videos and like, you know, production and studio sort of content, but as an engineer, he's really worked with tons of great bands, and you know, I'm pretty familiar with his work just going around the scene. Pretty much having Glenn Fricker's Spectre Sound logo on your booklet and your album is a guarantee stamp of quality, so you should strive to work with this guy. It also helps that Mark Aruda, the vocalist for Aquila, has known Glenn Fricker for years, so it was a very likely thing to happen. So finally, in 2009, Aquila got together with 6 of their members, went to Spectre Sound, and recorded their debut album, Imperium. Holy shit, is this a banger. Their debut sound is something that they would stick to but expand upon in later releases, and it was a good thing to start out with. It has the feel of a groove metal album, but it also mixed in with a lot of metalcore elements that you'd hear back in the early 2000s. It's very melodic, it's catchy, it's upbeat, and it sounds a lot like maybe like a Lamb of God or Killswitch Engage, you know. It actually has a lot to do with those kinds of mainstream sounds that were coming out back in the early 2000s, you know, that groove metal, metalcore kind of mix. But I think Aquila was trying to do something a little bit original, borrowing from that style at the same time. The album opens up with some soft acoustic guitar and then immediately throws you into some epic melodic soloing. Then we're thrown into the track In Our Darkness, which is just absolutely pummeling. Got fancy double bass footwork paired with breakdowns, catchy riffing, and melodic guitars sprinkled on top of that. Mark Aruda is also a very skilled vocalist. He does a lot on this album. He does menacing gutturals, he does mid screams, high screams, and then he also does those like shouting vocals that they remind me of like a dude deadlifting in a gym screaming his fucking nuts off. I like it a lot. A lot of testosterone, you know? There are tons of sick moments on this album. Within These Flames has a really cool segment like in the very middle of the song. It's just this like awesomely written riff that I'll just show you. Imperium also closes off with a fantastic solo on the song Bound for Glory, wrapping everything up in a nice bow. And that is Imperium. But Aquila was nowhere near done. They went on a fucking rampage between the years of 2009 and 2013. They shared the stage with numerous well-known bands that I'm gonna read off my list here because I can't remember all of them. Unleash the Archers, Fuck the Fact, A Life Once Lost, The Agonist, Endas, Threat Signal, Misery Index, Cryptopsy, and many, many more. Personally, I feel like Aquila sound is like perfect for an opening band. Any of those bands I just mentioned, if the crowd was to witness Aquila before them, I think it would really get them routed up. So I think Aquila fits a lot of bills, and their sound is accessible in that way. So they were doing pretty damn well for themselves. There's also this like killer music video that Spectre sounded for the song Kill or Be Killed from Imperium, which I just have to show you a clip of it because it must be seen.
So out the bound, we think you like flashing before you. The trash is real. The games are fucking over. Don't look behind you.
Now, before I move forward with more music, Aquila unfortunately suffered a fate that many bands do from anywhere in the world, and that is member changes and relocations. Metal musicians, believe it or not, are human beings, and, you know, life gets in the way. You can't always dedicate all of your time and energy to a band when you have, I don't know, maybe you have a family starting, maybe you start a new job somewhere. I mean, to be honest, music doesn't pay that well these days. So Aquila kind of separated in a way. They were still kind of a band. They didn't necessarily split up permanently, but some of the members relocated to Calgary and other places, and the whole thing kind of went on hiatus from about, I think, 2014 to currently. However, in 2020, Aquila has made the best comeback you could ever imagine. So currently, as we are standing here today, Aquila consists of Mark Aruda on vocals, Matt McGuire on drums, Anthony Remick on guitars, Matt Shelson on guitars, so there is the full lineup as of right now. Aruda was also part of another band called Bloodshot Eye, along with Matt McGuire, and Matt McGuire was a part of a band called Demonahil, I think that's how you pronounce it. So yeah, we got some experienced musicians in the band right now.
What's up, Richard? They try out. Deadly on your last nerve.
In 2020, they came out of hiatus and released a fantastic EP called Val Mortalitatis. in February, and this EP has been in my CD player non-stop since I got it in the mail. I was sent a free copy of it right here from Mark Aruda himself. We've been chatting in the Facebook Messenger for a little bit, and he's a really cool dude and wanted me to have this to review. And I don't know, I mean, even if he didn't send me this, I probably would have bought it either way, because this EP is seriously amazing, and I'm about to tell you why. Val Mortalitatis consists of only 3 songs, but it's honestly a perfect throwback to Imperium. A lot of the tropes from that album appear on this EP, and it looks like Aquila hasn't completely deviated from their sound and come out with something that different. But what they have done was taken the elements that they do have and expanded on them even further. Once again, it has been recorded in Spectre sound for that premium flavor, and the songs are catchy as hell. It begins with an acoustic intro once again, but this time it's a little bit more foreboding, but Aquila wastes no time to just fucking launch you right into the madness, and the metal that comes out of here is just, oh, it's so good. I have to say, they really turned up the brutality on this one. Now, I'm not gonna claim that Imperium wasn't a brutal album, but the EP has so much going on. There's a lot of like melodic death metal tropes thrown in as well. So basically, the best way I can describe this is this. Groove metal is like the foundation for Aquila. Then you have the metalcore elements that used to just be like that on Imperium, and then that was pretty much it. But then on the EP, this new EP, you have the foundation, but then the metalcore elements are mixed in with like Swedish Gothenburg melodic death metal, like In Flames type shit. So that's mixed together, and it all comes together in like this beautiful concoction. And I think Aquila truly has found their sound on this EP. Mark Aruda's vocals are also even more menacing. The gutturals come off twice as brutal on this thing, especially on the opening track, Fear is Poison. I also have to say that this is probably my favorite Aquila track of all time, because towards the end it has this like, I don't even know, it's like a groove metal breakdown. There's melodic like riffing in the background, but then they like have this chant vocal going over it, and it's, I can't even describe it. I'm just going to show you. Then on the song Beast, Aquila throws in even more melodic elements to give it that extra oomph factor. And finally, Until We Meet Again is once again a fantastic closer, and it features one of the sickest riffs I've ever heard from the band. So with that being said, Aquila has officially made a full comeback, and I have a surprising announcement for all of you. Yes, they are going to release even more music. Actually, I have 2 announcements. The first release out of the 2 is another EP called Jewel of the Empire's Crown, and it is said to be unleashed upon us meek souls around July 1st. So expect that to happen, and I'm gonna review it right now because I got the tracks from that as well. So you remember how I said that the first EP had some melodic death metal influence thrown in there? Okay, well this one just kicks off with like death and thrash metal right away. It just launches you right into it. I can't say that they changed up their sound overall too much, but once again, they just expanded on the elements that they have. I don't really want to spoil too much from this EP, but it is a big step up from their previous, which was already really good, and Aquila is going nowhere but fantastic places. I'm just gonna play some snippets from 2 songs that I found especially kick-ass, Meaning of Honor and Haunted Sands of Time.
Like a
EPs and shit are all fun and games, and it's all cool to talk about, but don't you guys want an Aquila album? I mean, it's been like, what, 2009? So it's been like almost 10 years since the first one. Well, in 2021, Aquila is planning on releasing a full-length album. I'm not sure when, I don't have any dates, but it is coming. And considering what the band has come up with so far on these 2 EPs, I'm expecting nothing but greatness. They really spaced out their releases nicely, and fans like myself are just eager with anticipation, and they can't fucking wait. So Aquila, please, make the album. Please. And that's all I really have for you guys today. I'm going to link every single element of Aquila's online presence down below in the description. I'd encourage you to support the band on whatever pages that they have. And I also encourage you to check out CDN Records because they were responsible for a lot of the distribution for Imperium, and they're just an overall staple label from Canada and are responsible for a lot of not only local stuff, but just overall releases from this great nation. Also, Aquila is looking for a new bassist, so if you have what it takes and aren't a loser like me who doesn't know how to play any instrument, I would encourage you to hit up Mark Aruda in the DMs or email the band. I'm sure they'd give you a shot, and maybe you'll join one of the coolest bands from Canada. I don't know, it could be like a fun little adventure. That's all I have for you today. Once again, this is the first episode of Canadian Crypts. There's many, many more to come. I'm gonna be reviewing bands, labels, projects, fucking whatever comes my way. As long as it's Canadian and it's good, I'm gonna talk about it. So support the bands and become fans. Stay tuned for that sick shit. Peace.